Howdy do y'all, this is John, and today we are talking about Anaconda, a new movie out in theaters right now. And in Anaconda, it deals with this group of friends who decide to do a reboot or remake of the 1997 cult classic Anaconda. However, their attempt to film this movie in the Amazon ends up biting them in the butt when a real giant anaconda shows up. So now their movie has come to life, essentially, and crap happens. Now, to get things started first and foremost, yes, I've seen the original 1997 Anaconda. I watched it as a kid quite a few times. To me, that's one of those bad movies that's just too much nostalgic fun for me to hate. But I will admit that, yes, it's technically a bad movie. And this movie makes that film look competent. Holy crap. First and foremost, the two main characters, they tried to make them sympathetic a little bit by having them be down on their luck. They sort of made it into the industry, but not really. They tried, but at the end of the day, they're both just kind of unlikable. And unlike what you're supposed to do, where you sit there and go, oh, well, these guys are actually talented. Why hasn't their talent been acknowledged yet? Instead, you're just in there going, that's why they won't hire you. The only thing that I'll say in the movie's defense is that some of the cinematography is nice. The particular shot where they introduce the anaconda, that should be a very haunting shot. And it's, from a visual standpoint, executed well. The only thing that I think ruins it is, it occurs a little too early, and there's also really bad CGI involved with the anaconda. But other than that shot that introduces the anaconda to the audiences, that is a great shot. So yeah, the cinematography is pretty appealing. That's kind of all the movie's got going for it, though. The actual story itself, it's similar to the original Anaconda, but not quite. And unlike the original Anaconda, which surprisingly, does a few story beats correctly, this movie doesn't do that. For instance, the whole surprise antagonist thing. When you're introduced to Jon Voight in the original Anaconda, you know right off the bat there's something wrong with this guy. And he continues to be a threat up until the very end of the movie. This movie, antagonistic character is shoehorned in by force an hour into the movie and is only there an extra 10 minutes. That's not even the only thing that they took from the original movie and just did it in a much stupider way. There are other routes, things that happen. That's just them doing what the original did, just stupider. And I also have to talk about the misguided attempt at making this a horror comedy. I know it's difficult to make an effective horror comedy, but it can be done. This movie just doesn't do that at all. The humorous aspects of the movie, which aren't even effective, they're literally just laughs that don't make you do anything. It literally dilutes the horror element of the movie. The snake is supposed to be scary, but it's not. Probably the best example I can think of effectively blending horror and comedy together is, shockingly from Joss Whedon, the episode Hush of Buffy the Vampire Slayer. Horror comedy is supposed to be just as scary as it is funny, and the episode of Hush nailed that element. Too bad Joss Whedon forgot about that when he made Cabin in the Woods. But he pulled that off in that episode of Buffy the Vampire Slayer. In addition to that, it's just kind of also a missed opportunity, because snakes are one of humanity's biggest fears. It is one of the most common fears out there, the fear of snakes. That would lend itself to a great horror movie. But instead, so far, all we've had are terrible horror movies revolving around snakes. And this ain't anything new. It's just another bad horror movie revolving around snakes. And lastly, I'm going to talk about the performances. Everyone was just phoning it in. Everyone was just phoning it in. You know, the smaller actors, they didn't care. Jack Black and Paul Rudd were just doing their usual shtick. Nothing else, nothing special. Everyone just phoned in their performances. Except for Ice Cube. But that was just a glorified cameo. So guys, at the end of the day, Anaconda, like I said, it's just another bad snake movie. The story is stupid. You don't care about, any of the main characters. The acting's all phoned in, except for Ice Cube. Their attempt to mix horror and comedy just doesn't work. And at the end of the day, fact is, the only thing pleasing about the movie is nice cinematography. However, just nice cinematography is nowhere near good enough to help save a movie. I'm going to give Anaconda a 2. Well, that's all the time I have for today. Please look forward to more videos real soon. Please hit the like button if you enjoyed this video. Please also subscribe if you're new to the channel. Don't forget, I also have a secondary channel where I do gaming content. Please go check it out. And as per usual, please remember, the Britsky will return.